Today, we're making picanha 3 different ways. Dude, picanha is one of my favorite cuts of all time. So a little bit about what is picanha. It's pronounced picanha, picanha. Picanha is a fun cut of beef that actually comes from the top sirloin. So that's coming from the back of the cow, right near the butt. It's actually the top part of the sirloin, and it is prized for many reasons. It has a lot of beefy flavor, but this fat cap. A lot of fat can sometimes be greasy. This melts. This is like butter, and the flavor that it gets is extremely meaty. There's many ways that you can cook picanha. I'm doing my top 3 favorite ways that you can cook it. So we have our picanha, let's stuff it. So first things first, picanha normally comes in like a triangular shape. So I'm gonna slice into this guy and kind of open it up right through here. I do recommend that you get a really sharp knife, and I do think it's better when it's a little cold, even like slightly frozen. So you can kind of see we have our cavity. Let's make the mixture. So I have shredded cheese. I normally make chimichurri to go with this, but today I'm gonna cheat and use my garlic herb seasoning. And then to mimic the chimichurri, red wine vinegar and olive oil. So we got our cheese mixture, and this is what's going inside. Stuff that baby in. We're gonna get it in there as much as you can. You're gonna have spillage, like no matter what you do, it's gonna spill out. That's fine. I'm gonna grab my handy dandy bamboo skewers, and then I'm just gonna skewer these guys together so that they stay. Looks like a monster. And there we go, it goes on the smoker. Also, last but not least, I'm gonna add garlic herb on the outside. Never had too much garlic herb. Let's go throw this on the smoker. So we have the smoker going at about 275 to 300. I'm gonna let this guy go fat cap up for probably about an hour or so. Just let it ride. Okay, next, we're making it grilled. There are 2 things that we need to be aware of when it comes to grilling picanha. 1, we need to be aware of the fat cap, and 2, we need to be aware of the grain structure. We have this beautiful picanha with this awesome fat cap on it. That's a lot of fat though. We're gonna actually sear the outside, get a beautiful crust on the fat cap. It's gonna render some of the fat out. That'll help it to not be so fatty when you're slicing it up that you have that like big old glob of fat on the outside. It's just the way that I like to do it. You definitely don't need to. You can slice this guy up and make it into steaks right now, but that fat might be a little cold, a little jelly. Not how I wanna do it. Let's throw this onto the grill and render this fat cap. Throw it on, fat cap first. Slow, don't want to cause too much of a flare up. So slow and steady wins the race on this. Fat cap for a couple of minutes, sear off the meat side, and then we'll pull it over and slice it into steaks. All right, so we got some of the fat rendering, got a big flame going in our grill. So I'm gonna flip this guy over and just sear the meat side for just maybe like 30 seconds. So juicy. We're looking pretty good. I think it's time to go and slice it. Does everybody agree? Can you say picanha? Good, you said it correctly. All right, let's go. Bam. For those that have been paying attention, we seared the outside, rendered some of the fat. Are we gonna slice with the grain or against the grain? With the grain, you got it correct. The grain structure is kind of fanning out like this. So I'm gonna kind of slice it like that. It's not gonna be perfectly with the grain, but it's gonna be enough. I like to make them 2-inch thick steaks, and you'll know you went with it if you see these long strands. That's what we're looking for, because when we go sideways, it'll show like little rectangular boxes. We want to slice with the grain because, as you can see how I'm slicing it right here, we're gonna grill it like this, and then the grain structure is going like this, so when people slice it up to eat, it's against the grain and it'll be so much more tender. You can slice it any way that you want. There's nothing wrong if it's not gonna completely like explode if you accidentally slice it against the grain first or whatever, but we have our steaks ready to go. I'm gonna keep it extremely simple since we're doing it classic and just do salt. This cut can take a lot of salt, so do not be afraid to season your cutting board. We're gonna go place these steaks onto the grill and slowly cook them until they're about 120 internal. I like cooking on my fire grill, especially with fatty cuts like this, because I can raise and lower it super quickly. So I make sure that I don't get crazy flare-ups. You can buy a fire grill, check the link in my description. This is gonna take, I'd say about anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes per side. Sit back, relax. While this is grilling, I'm gonna melt some butter and add in some garlic and some parsley that we're gonna baste these guys with right at the end. So I have my handy dandy little basting skillet. I'm gonna set that to the side. I have a bunch of butter. We're gonna let that melt. I'm gonna add in some garlic and parsley right at the end, and we'll baste the outside. It's gonna make an insane, so freaking delicious flavor. But until then, let's melt that up and keep cooking the picanha. Let's skewer some up. So we have our picanha, and this time we're gonna slice it against the grain the entire time, so that when we skewer it on, we go sideways with it, it slices against the grain. Probably shouldn't hold a knife while I'm telling people to do stuff. We have the grain structure going kind of this way, so I'm gonna slice it against the grain, and then we're gonna slice it out into C shapes. This is what I like to do. Take a really nice knife, kind of thin, point it away from you. You're gonna skewer that in, push through, and this just prevents anybody from potentially losing fingers or cutting themselves. I just find it to be the simplest and fastest way. Ow! Just kidding. So I like to use a knife so that my skewer has a guided path and it's just safer. So we have our steaks all skewered up. Let's go and throw it on the fire grill. So I took the grill grates off, and so we have this like open pit asado where I can raise and lower the skewers. It's gonna slowly roast. Watch out for flare-ups. I have cool sides in case it gets a little too hot. 5 to 9 minutes per side. These are pretty big and it's cold outside, so I think it's gonna be closer to 9. We'll be back. So we have our grilled steak. Let's slice this guy up. Look at that! Look how juicy. Look at this picanha! Look at this photograph! This is one of the better picanhas that I've cooked in a while. It is juicy. Juicy, juicy. Okay, let's try it out. Look at this. So in my personal opinion, the fat on picanha kind of tastes like movie theater popcorn butter. Try it out. Mmm. Mmm. That's a picanha. That is incredible. What? Making fun of me over there? Oh, why didn't anybody say anything? That was incredible. Highly recommend it. You can go and find my grilled picanha with a garlic butter on my blog, or you can click it. I think I can link that on YouTube, right? Can I do that? Let's try out some of the smoke. Boom. All right, let's let him rest. We'll slice in a sec. We got our skewers ready to go. I'm gonna pull these off, oh my gosh, and let them rest. Look at that thing. It looks like it's like ready to kill you. All right, so we got the smoked one that took about like 2 hours to cook. This has been resting for like 15 minutes. So let's pull out these crazy skewers. Now, this is one of the few that like slicing it the correct way is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna slice it with the grain at first, and then we'll slice it against it. Oh. Look at that juiciness. A little cheese, a little steak, a little crust. That's great. So easy, so good. 10 out of 10. Let's try out the skewers. Okay, so we have the skewered picanha sitting over there and resting, but before that, let's make the vinaigrette. We have some diced bell peppers, onion, parsley, green onion, some tomato. And so I'm gonna add in a little bit of salt, white wine vinegar. Be like one of them Vegas like bartenders. What do you want? Vodka soda? Okay. Last but not least, olive oil. Give that a little mixy-mixy, and wham bam, Thank you, ma'am. So this is gonna pair super duper well. All right, let's slice steak. So I'm gonna do this how they do it, like the Brazilian rodizios. Grab, finish it. Grab, finish it. Look at that bad boy. Look at that. We have our slice. Add a little bit of that vinaigrette and bottoms up. Tangy, vinegary, salty, 10 out of 10. I've had a lot of steak today. You can find all 3 of the recipes that I cooked in this video below, as well as some of my favorite picanha recipes on my blog. Go and check out and grab some of my new seasonings like my cowboy butter rub or my garlic herb. I also have a Gaucho steakhouse rub that would have worked with pretty much anything today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, stay so freaking delicious. Cheers. Oh, that is a lot of steak that I had today. I might be tapped out on steak. Lies.